They found the culprit, his name, his face, his hideout. It should have been the end. But when they got to him, he was already dead, body burned beyond recognition. A knife driven 20 centimeters into his heart long after the fire consumed him. Not murder. A message. Someone killed the killer to bury the trail. But before all of that, there is one perfect day, the kind that makes what comes after even harder to bear. He wakes up and holds her wrist in the dark and feels the tattoo hum back to life. She asks if he was snoring. He says he wouldn't mind worse things than that. And neither of them acknowledges what just happened. That somewhere between grief and confession and a dead garden, something was restored. They spend the day like ordinary people. Tandem bikes by the river, a couple drinks set, sunset photographs. He calls her insignificant. She calls him her guardian. He doesn't argue. She catches him smiling at a tiny plush toy the vendor gave them and doesn't say a word about it. 2 centuries of darkness, and this is what breaks him open. A tandem bike and a paper cup of cheap coffee. But the world does not stay gentle for long. The culprit's body turns up at the theatre, Gu-won's theatre, deliberately placed there, a knife through a burned corpse. And the realization that follows is ice cold. Whoever is behind this knew Gu-won had seen the attacker's face. They killed the attacker before he could be traced back to them. And they left the body where Gu-won would find it to make sure he understood the message. We know what you can do, we know your weakness, and we are still here. Gu-won finds a listening device planted in the apartment. They have been listening this whole time, every strategy, every deal, every quiet conversation in the dark. Heard. Which means the real enemy isn't the dead man in the theatre. The real enemy has been a step ahead the entire time, and they are still watching. Then the little girl comes back. Yeon-so, the child whose father traded his soul for her 10 years of health, is back in the hospital, crashing, wires everywhere, parents screaming in the corridor, the deal is breaking. And Gu-won reaches for his powers to help her and finds nothing. The clocks in the apartment have stopped again, all of them. Same moment, dead still, his powers are not flickering this time. They are gone. So he goes looking for answers from the only source left. He finds her in a quiet restaurant, a woman the staff treats with an almost unconscious reverence, as if they can sense something ancient sitting across from them. She orders for him without asking. She speaks like someone who has been watching this story unfold from a very great height for a very long time. He asks who she is. She says, God, the universe, time, whichever name he prefers. He tells her that sounds like God is nowhere. She smiles like she expected that answer from a demon. He asks for his powers back. She says she didn't take them. The powers are in the wrong body. They transferred to Do-hee, and the longer they stay there, the more they fade from both of them. He is dying as they sit here, slowly, certainly. And then she says the thing that stops everything. You can get your powers back once the woman dies, that is the only way. Do-hee dies, he lives, or Do-hee lives, and he fades. The full moon is tomorrow. The roulette wheel stops at the full moon. The game ends one way or another. He has less than one day. He sits with that information. 2 centuries of survival instinct pressing against something much newer and far more stubborn. He thinks about the deal the father made for his daughter. He thinks about every soul he has ever collected, every human who chose the person they loved over themselves. He spent 200 years watching them make that choice and calling it weakness. And then he makes his answer known, not to God, not to the universe, to himself quietly in the only language a demon fully understands, a declaration, clean and final. I'm choosing both me and Do-hee. He doesn't explain how. He doesn't have a plan yet. He just refuses the only option he was given and asks for a bet instead. The night before, they sat outside under a swollen moon, and Do-hee said she wanted to stay up all night, that it would feel like a waste to sleep, that this could be their honeymoon. He said, "What scares me is a world without you." He said it like a fact, like something he had calculated and confirmed, like a demon filing a report. There is a full moon tonight, and somewhere in Sokyo, standing at the edge of the sea, a demon and a woman are about to jump into the same water where all of this began. One of them already knows what happens if it fails. The other one just found out, and neither of them is willing to be the one who walks away. The day starts quietly. A salty birthday cake that was supposed to be sweet. A rooftop at night. A horror movie. Her face buried in his shoulder. He tells her what scares him most is a world without her. She tells him not to go, stay by my side. He says he can't, that he's going somewhere she can't follow. She thinks it's a dream, it isn't. He has already been to see God, he knows the terms. If the tattoo returns tonight, they both survive. If it doesn't, he burns. And the only other way to get his powers back is if she dies first. He chose to keep that last part to himself. He prepared instructions for his assistant, what to auction, what to say to Ga-young, just in case he doesn't come back. He invites Do-hee on a honeymoon trip to Sokcho. tells her about the full moon, the water, the chance for the tattoo to return. Her face lights up. She calls it their honeymoon. He smiles and doesn't correct her. And somewhere in that smile is everything he cannot say out loud. But Star-Jin finds out. She goes to Do-hee first, hands her a bottle of pills, tells her they're poison, enough to kill. Tells her that if the sea doesn't work tonight, Goo-won will burn. And the only thing that can save him is if Do-hee dies first. She begs her. She says she loves him in the only way she knows how, by trying to protect him from the thing she fears most, which is Do-hee. Do-hee's world tilts. Every gesture replays itself with new meaning. The way he held her wrist in the beginning, the way he pushed her into the sea, the way he said, "If I had told you, you would have refused," all of it viewed suddenly through a question she cannot unask. Was any of it real? Or was she just the carrier of a tattoo he needed to survive? Seok-hoon calls. He has found out what Goo-won is. He says it plainly. He dragged you to Sokcho to save himself by killing you. Do-hee listens, and then she hangs up, not because she believes him, because she already knows the answer, and the answer doesn't change anything for her. Someone set a fire on the shore. The culprits' network knew they were in Sokcho. Someone in their circle leaked it, and while they are trapped between water and fire, powerless and human and exhausted, Do-hee makes a choice. Not the one Star-Jin asked for, something fiercer than that. She chooses him, fully, without conditions. And something in that choice, the certainty of it, the completeness, does what the cold water alone could not. The tattoo returns, not from the sea, not from the moon, from her. It moves back to his hand where it belongs, and the powers flood back instantly. He pulls them both from the fire. He stands her on the shore, breathing hard, demon again for the first time in weeks. Powerful, complete, restored, and the first thing he does with those returned powers is hold her face and check if she's okay. Not a deal, not a transaction, just, "Are you okay?" he tells her. Quietly, in the dark, with the fire still burning behind them. "If we ever end up having to make a cruel choice, I'll choose you. Because losing someone I love is worse than losing myself." He has said a version of this before. But this time it cost him nothing to say it. Because this time, he already paid. He is back, powerful, restored. 200 years of himself return to him overnight, and the first thing he does is stand in front of a mirror and compliment himself loudly, for a long time. The demon is back, which means the danger is back too. It always comes with him. The apartment is lighter now. Birthday cake on the counter, this time not salty. Matching outfits she pretended to hate. A promise made in the dark that he will never leave without telling her. For the first time since this story began, things feel almost ordinary, almost safe. Which, in a story like this, is always the warning sign. He makes a deal today. An old woman in a hospital ward who cannot remember her husband's face anymore. Alzheimer's has taken everything except the feeling. She knows she loves someone. She just can't see him standing right in front of her. The husband asks Goo-won for just a few minutes. A few minutes where she remembers. That is his entire wish. Not wealth, not power, not 10 more years. Just let her see me one last time. The reunion lasts barely long enough to matter. She seizes him, reaches for him. She thought he had left her. He says he was always there, that even after she's gone, he'll stay beside her. And Goo-won, the demon who has not cried in 200 years, who insisted moments later that he was simply sweating from his eyes, stands very still in that hospital room and feels something crack open in him that he has no name for yet. The investigation into the leak begins quietly. Someone told the enemy they were in Sokcho. The list of people who knew is small. And when a suspicious figure is spotted handing over what looks like a bribe, the entire room holds its breath. Do-hee goes cold, Goo-won goes still. It looks exactly like a betrayal. It is not. The apple box was a cake. The secretive behavior was shyness. Mr. Park and Ms. Shin, the butler and the secretary, have apparently fallen for each other quietly, privately, in the background of everyone else's chaos. The most suspicious thing in the apartment turns out to be the most innocent. But the real betrayal is still out there, somewhere closer than they think. The demon manual surfaces again. Seok-hoon spots a green book with an eye on the spine inside No Suk-min's home. The same book that went missing from Goo-won's shelf. Which means Suk-min has known what Goo-won is this whole time. He has been operating with information no one else had, and he used it to craft every move against them. Then No Do-gyong walks into the police station, sits down, and confesses. He killed Cha Tae-jin. He hired Gi Kwang-chul. He tried to kill Do-hee. He says it all, flat disconnected, like reading from a list. But when Do-hee sits across from him and asks directly, "Did you order Gi Kwang-chul to kill Madame Ju?" something shifts in his eyes. He says Madame Ju didn't die at Gi Kwang-chul's hands. He says he just followed orders, and when she asks whose orders, he says the devil's. "The devil lives within me. I was just following the devil's orders." Do-hee stares at him. Not the answer she needed, not even close to the truth. But the way he said it, hollow, lost, genuinely frightened of himself, tells her this is not the end of the story. Someone above him gave the order for Madame Ju, and Do-gyong is just the layer they're hiding behind. That night, Do-hee sits with Gu-won in the dark and finally tells him about her birthday. Not as information, as confession. Her father had promised a birthday party she'd never forget. She threw a tantrum when he said he had to leave for work, she cried. She begged. She said, "If you go now, I'll never see you again." He rushed because of her. The accident happened because of the speed. She has carried that equation for 17 years. Quietly, alone. Without ever saying it out loud to anyone, she tells him what she needs. Not power, not revenge, not the throne of Mireille Group. "I want you to stay next to me. Never say you're going somewhere far away alone again." He listens to all of it. And then he makes the only promise a demon has ever made without attaching terms to it. "I'll never leave you, no matter what happens." She asks him to promise. He does. And for the first time in 11 episodes, neither of them is performing strength for the other. But the dreams don't stop. Even with his powers fully restored, he keeps dreaming of Joseon, of a woman named Wolsim whose face he cannot see. God told him the memories are blocked because they tormented him. A defense mechanism. Human instinct. He insists he doesn't have human instincts. And then the dream comes again. And then the fragment that changes everything. A flash of memory, jagged and incomplete. "When I was human, I killed people. A lot of people." The reason the tattoo transferred to Do-hee. The reason their encounter was never a coincidence. Two people entangled in fate, God said, meant to be reunited in one way or another. Because fate always repeats itself, and at the very edge of consciousness, one more piece surfaces, the face he has never been able to see in the dream. The woman who tormented him so deeply he erased her from his own memory. Her name, Wolsim. He was human once, he was in love once. And something happened between them so devastating that 200 years of demonhood still wasn't enough to forget it. 200 years ago, a young nobleman fell in love with a courtesan. He promised to marry her. He went to the capital to take his state examinations, and when he came back, she was gone, executed, in his place. Because she refused to name him when they came for her, she died holding the one thing he gave her, saying it had always been hers. And the man she saved never forgave himself or the world. That man became a demon, and her name was Wolsim. The memories come back all at once now. Joseon, a waterfall. A woman who studied alone in a spot he claimed as his. She was sharp and proud and entirely unbothered by his status. He fell in love immediately and spent weeks pretending otherwise. She fell too, slowly, carefully, the way someone falls when they know how much it will cost them. She had a reason for leaving the capital. A friend, a woman as like her, had taken her life over a nobleman. Wolsim watched love destroy someone she cared about and swore she would never let it destroy her. Then Yi-sun showed her a book about equality. A faith that said all people are born the same. And for a brief, reckless season, they both believed it could change the world fast enough to save them. It couldn't. The persecution came. Fingers pointed, villages burned, and Wolsim, a lowly courtesan with no family name to protect her, was the easiest target in the room. They showed her Yi-sun's gift and demanded she name him. She said it was always hers. She never said his name, not once, and they killed her for it. Yi-sun came home to a world without her. And the grief didn't make him quiet. It made him violent. He killed the people who took her. Not one, many. People who had loved him and whom he had loved. He burned through everything in reach and refused to enter heaven when he died. If heaven is where God dwells, I refuse to go there. And God, who needed a worker for hell, took the rage and made it useful. A demon was born. He has been carrying it for 200 years. Not the memory. He erased that. Buried it somewhere deep enough that even he couldn't reach it. But the shape of it was still there. The reason he called humans insignificant. The reason he kept every relationship transactional. The reason love felt like a trap he had already fallen into once and would never fall into again. And now his assistant confirms it. The full name, Seo Yi-sun, Gu-won already knows. But what he says next stops everything. She's Do-hee, Wolsim and Do-hee, same soul, different century. Their first meeting wasn't an accident. The tattoo didn't transfer by chance. Fate pulled them back together to finish something that was left broken 200 years ago. But that knowledge doesn't bring relief. It brings terror. Because the last time he loved her, she died for him. Not beside him, for him, specifically, directly because of him. And the question that sits in his chest now, quiet and cold and impossible to dismiss, is whether fate means to repeat that ending. Then No Do-gyong dies in custody. The psychiatric evaluation confirmed he was genuinely unwell, intermittent explosive disorder, extreme anxiety, a mind that had been fracturing quietly for years. Suk-min attends the funeral composed. Asks Do-hee to keep it quiet for the sake of the company, for the family. Do-hee looks at him and says, "It seems like family means more to the one who has more to lose." She walks away. And the question she leaves hanging in the air is the one the narration has been circling for episodes. Did No Suk-min know what his son was doing, or did he do far more than simply know? He tells her, not all of it, not Walsim's name, not the full history, but the part that has been pressing against his chest all episode. "When I was human, I killed people, people who loved me and whom I loved. My faith caused her death. If I hadn't loved her, she wouldn't have died." He says it plainly, without performance. Like a man confessing something he has never said out loud in 200 years of existence. And then he says the thing that reveals everything. "That's what frightens me. I might make you miserable." Do-hee listens to all of it, and then she answers him in the only way that matters. "I'll be miserable without you anyway. If I end up miserable either way, I want us to be miserable together." 200 years of running from that exact sentence. And she said it back to him without knowing she had already said it to him once before. Before we go further, if you've made it this far, you already know this story has you. Don't lose the next episode to the algorithm. Subscribe to Kdrama Recap Planet now, and hit the bell so when the next recap drops, you're the first to know. It takes 2 seconds. Do it now while the story's still pulling you in. Now, back to where we were. She has been grieving the wrong person for 17 years. The woman she lit candles for, the woman whose plants she watered. The woman who called her devil's spawn with a laugh and meant it as the deepest kind of love. That woman killed her parents, not an accident, not fate, a choice made on a furious night. And buried under 17 years of guilt-shaped affection. But the episode doesn't open there. It opens in December. Christmas lights on the windows, a half-decorated tree. Pour over coffee. Gu-won brings her every flower that means happiness. Happiness, eternal happiness. Happiness meant to be. Happiness lost and found. And she says she loves him before he can finish naming them all. He says it back. No performance, no armor, I love you too. The 2 most dangerous words in this story, said at the most dangerous time. Because happiness, as God once warned him, can sometimes be poisonous, and this kind, this soft, unguarded, fully arrived kind, is the most dangerous of all. Because it means you finally have something to lose. No Suk-min moves fast now that the throne is his. He dismantles the Industrial Accident Compensation Committee, a legacy his mother built to prove that profit and conscience could coexist. He converts permanent workers to part-time. He pushes everything through in one board meeting, surrounded by directors who already owe him. Seok-hoon tries to stop him. Suk-min's response is to move for his dismissal. He calls it business. Seok-hoon calls it murder. Both of them are right. Then comes the family dinner. Suk-min plays gracious host. He pours wine. He speaks about his mother fondly. And then, midway through the meal, he asks everyone to transfer their shares to him. For unity, for family, for stability. Do-hee declines without raising her voice. She asks him plainly, "Did you really not know what Do-gyong was doing? Or did you just turn a blind eye?" He tells her she's out of line. She tells him her kindness ends today. The table goes very quiet. Something in Suk-min's face shifts, not to anger, but to calculation. He has just decided she is a problem that needs solving. Then Suk-min corners Do-hee alone. And he tells her, not everything, just enough. He says her parents didn't die in an accident. He says Madame Ju was at the company that day. There was a confrontation. A man who threatened to expose her wrongdoing, Do-hee's father. When he left, Madame Ju followed in her car, furious, speeding. Your parents' blood laid the foundation of Mirai Group. He says it like a business fact, like a line item in an earnings report. Do-hee goes still. Not the controlled stillness she performs in boardrooms. Something deeper. The stillness of a person whose entire story just rewrote itself from the beginning. Madame Ju's daily confessions. The obsessive donations. The desperate need to be loved by Do-hee specifically. All of it suddenly makes a different kind of sense. Not love, atonement. Do-hee was never her daughter. She was her confession. But here is what Suk-min never understood about Do-hee. He told her this to break her, to watch everything she believed collapse in real time, to see if grief would finally make her surrender. He made a mistake. Because grief doesn't break Do-hee. It focuses her. The evidence surfaces. One piece Suk-min failed to destroy. Gi Kwang-chul's phone. The messages to Abraxas. A thread that connects Do-young's crimes directly to his father's orders. Suk-min didn't just look away. He gave the orders. He used Do-gyong as cover, as a tool, as someone disposable enough to take the fall. And when Do-gyong became a liability, he made sure he wouldn't survive long enough to talk. Suk-min finally faces Do-hee with everything on the table. He tells her she always causes trouble by never letting go. He tells her this is her fault. And somewhere in his voice is something almost genuine. The conviction of a man who has told himself this story so many times he has started to believe it. The almighty Jew was the devil, I was a sinner before I committed any sins. He cracked the egg and called it liberation. He burned the world and called it being born. And now he is standing across from the one person who saw through every version of that story from the very beginning. No Sukhmin jumped from a building, body still missing, case still open, and in the quiet after his fall, the question he planted in Doohee's chest refuses to leave. Did Madame Ju kill her parents? Was the woman who saved her also the woman who destroyed her first? The truth is somewhere between a dead man's last words and a priest's locked confession box, and Doohee is going to find it. Sukhmin's wife breaks first. She had been watching for years, quietly, carefully, collecting everything her husband thought she missed. She hands over detailed documents to the police without flinching, not out of bravery, out of exhaustion. She had simply run out of reasons to keep protecting him. Family, it turns out, is always the problem, and the most dangerous witness is the one he believed was oblivious. Guwon tells Doohee gently, "Don't let Sukhmin's last words get to you." He was a man who weaponized everything, even the truth, even in his final moments, but Doohee can't let it go. She notices the dates, the timing of Madame Ju's cane, the daily confessions that started right after her parents died, the birthday she was told to stop commemorating, the way Madame Ju could never quite look her in the eye whenever the past came up. There are too many things that only make sense one way. She goes to Father Michael, the priest who heard Madame Ju's confessions for 20 years. The man she trusted with the things she could not say out loud to anyone else. Doohee sits across from him and asks. And he tells her what Madame Ju left with him, a message meant for exactly this moment. The truth is both better and worse than what Sukhmin said. Madame Ju did not run them off the road on purpose, but she followed them that night in fury. And the accident happened because she was there. She spent the rest of her life unable to separate her presence from her guilt. She went to confession every day, not to be absolved, but because it was the only place she could say what she had done without losing Doohee. And she left a final instruction with the priest. If Doohee ever asked, tell her the truth. She wanted Doohee to know, she just couldn't be the one to say it. Doohee walks out of the church and says she feels bad for ever doubting her, but her face tells a different story. Something has shifted, not broken, shifted. The way a foundation cracks before you can see it from the surface. Then she finds it, in Guwon's office, in the list of names. Page after page of people who made deals with him, souls collected. Contracts signed, 10 years of wishes granted. She scrolls through slowly and then she stops. Do Wonjun, her father's name, right there in the list. Her father made a deal with the demon. The man she has been sleeping next to, the man she told she loved, the man who she believed saved her, was also the man who took her father's soul to hell. And suddenly every piece rearranges itself into something unrecognizable. Madame Ju was at the scene that night because Doohee's father was blackmailing her. Doohee's father was blackmailing Madame Ju because he needed leverage. And why did he need leverage? Because 10 years before that night, he had made a deal with a demon and his time was running out. Everything connects. Everything leads back to the same point. And at the center of all of it is Guwon. She doesn't confront him. She doesn't scream. She just sits with it, alone. In the quiet of what she now knows, and when he finds her later, she tells him that the people she loves have become her hell. I love them with all my heart, but now I resent them to death. She says it like a confession, like she is telling him without telling him. He hears it, all of it. He leaves, not in anger, not with an explanation. He leaves because he finally understands what he has always been to the people around him. The demon who grants wishes always arrives at the worst moment. The moment when someone is so desperate they would trade anything for relief. He showed up in Doohee's father's darkest hour. He showed up in Doohee's. And both times, he took something that could never be returned. He tells his assistant quietly he is going away for a bit, until Doohee gets her happy ending without him. He says it the way he says everything, clean, decisive, like it cost him nothing. But the clocks in the apartment are running again, and the Christmas tree is still only half decorated. And the couple set they never got to order is still waiting for Christmas. She calls his name in the street. Once, twice, 3 times he doesn't come back. Guwon disappeared, and my salvation came to an end. The demon who promised he would never leave without telling her left without telling her. And the most devastating thing is not that he broke his promise. It is that she understands exactly why he did. He is gone, no note, no goodbye, no explanation she didn't already know. Just an empty apartment and a Christmas tree that is still only half decorated. The couple set they never got to order. The promise he made that he would never leave without telling her, broken. Not out of cruelty, out of love, which, as this story has always insisted, is the most dangerous reason of all. She goes back to the office, files the paperwork, attends the meetings, smiles at the right moments. She tells Seok-hoon the contract simply expired, that they were only ever together until the culprit was caught and the tattoo was returned. That everything is back to normal. She says it cleanly, convincingly. The way someone says something they have rehearsed until it stopped hurting. It still hurts. At night, she stands outside the Sunwall Foundation because it was the only place she could think of to go. She tells Gyung she doesn't know where he is, that she doesn't even know where to look, that she never got to say thank you, or sorry, or stay. She says she let him go because the more she loved him, the more she suffered, and Ga-young, who once hated her for exactly that reason, gives her something without explanation. Madame Ju's ring. The one meant for the person Do-hee would give everything for. She has been carrying it without knowing that she already found him. But no, Suk-min is not dead. He never was. He erased his own face surgically so Gu-won's powers couldn't find him. He has been watching, waiting, calculating. Everything he lost, money, title, family, face, he has placed at Do-hee's feet as blame, and now he is done waiting. He wants to destroy them both, not one, both. He takes Do-hee, and he calls into the dark for Gu-won to show himself. He knows the demon comes when she is in danger. He is counting on it. Do-hee tells him Gu-won is gone, that he has left her. Suk-min doesn't believe her. He puts a blade to her throat and waits. He doesn't have to wait long. Gu-won appears. He was never as far as he let himself believe. 200 years of keeping distance, and he cannot stay away from her for more than a few weeks. He steps into the room and Suk-min smiles. This is exactly what he wanted. The fight is fast and vicious. Suk-min knows the rules now. He read the manual. He knows that if Gu-won kills a human, he burns. He has designed this whole trap around that one limitation. He wants Gu-won to choose, let Do-hee die or kill him and cease to exist. Either way, Suk-min wins. Either way, he destroys them. Do-hee screams at Gu-won to stop. She knows what killing Suk-min means. She is bleeding, barely standing, and still she is fighting not for herself but for him. You'll burn away if you kill him. Don't! The same woman who told him to save himself off from her, screaming at him to save himself from her enemy. He kills him anyway, not in rage, not in chaos. A clear, deliberate choice. He looks at Suk-min and he makes the calculation that 200 years of being a demon prepared him to make perfectly. Her life or his existence, and he chooses her. Again, the way he always does when it comes down to it, the combustion begins immediately. He holds her face, checks if she is okay. She tells him she is fine. She tells him to stop. She tells him not to go. He says the words he has been saving since the night at the garden. I missed you, Do-hee. 3 words that contain everything he couldn't say in the weeks he was gone. She says them back. I missed you too. I missed you so much. And then he falls. The fire that has been threatening him since episode 1 finally might arrive, not as punishment, as consequence. He made a rule-breaking choice and the universe is collecting. Do-hee holds him. Screams his name. The Christmas tree is still only half decorated. The couple set was never ordered. And the demon who spent 200 years making deals with desperate humans finally made the only deal that mattered, his existence for hers. No contract, no terms, no 10 years, just all of it. Everything he had. Given freely. For the first time in 200 years, she is still calling his name when he is already gone. And somewhere far away, God watches the choice that was made and says simply, so that's the choice you made. Not surprised, not disappointed, just noting it. The way someone notes the thing they always knew was coming. She made a deal, sitting alone in a dark apartment on Christmas Eve with a half-decorated tree and a candle she lit for a man who wasn't there. She made a deal with God, not for power, not for the throne, not for revenge. Her wish was one sentence, bring him back, and for the first time in the history of this story, God agreed. But before that, the darkness. Do-hee shut herself in her apartment for days, wouldn't open the door, wouldn't eat. She told anyone who got through that she couldn't stand this world anymore because Gu-won was nowhere in it. She said it was her punishment to endure, that she killed him, that if he had never met her, he would still exist. The logic of grief, irrational, total, consuming. The same grief she carried at 11 years old and never fully put down. On Christmas morning she sat alone and said his name to the dark, not calling for him, not expecting an answer. Just saying it, because saying it was the only way to keep him from disappearing completely. And then she made the deal. And God, who once told Gu-won she doesn't control everything, collected the payment that had already been made. The bet Gu-won won months ago, the one he asked to redeem only now. If I ever have a wish, will you grant it? He planned this. Even his exit was for the return. He comes back on Christmas Day, just like that. Standing in her apartment, exactly where he always stood. Merry Christmas, Do-hee, I'm back! She stares at him, 2 seconds of complete stillness. And then she moves toward him the way people move toward the thing they thought they had lost forever. Fast, without thinking, without armor. He reaches for her wrist, old habit, and charges up. She lets him, neither of them speaks for a moment. They just stand there in the apartment with the half-decorated tree and the Christmas they almost didn't get to have. 201 years of choosing wrong endings, and they finally got a different one. Then she asks him about her father, the deal, the night, what actually happened. He tells her, a rainy night, a hospital too full to take her mother, a man so desperate he agreed to anything without hearing the terms, his soul for her mother's life, 10 years together, and then the contract expired. It wasn't me, it was your father. His sacrifice saved you. Doohy absorbs this quietly. 10 years she spent thinking her parents died because of her tantrum. But her father had already made his choice long before that birthday. He chose her mother's life, and then her life after, not recklessly, knowingly. With love so large it looked like recklessness from the outside. Then the prosecutor calls. One last piece of information she didn't know. Madame Jew had terminal pancreatic cancer. She found out before the blind date, before the will, before the marriage condition. She was already dying when she started pushing Doohy toward marriage. Not manipulation, not control, desperation. She knew she was leaving. She knew what it felt like to leave Doohy alone. And she couldn't do it again without at least trying to leave someone beside her. Doohy stands at Madame Jew's grave and finally understands all of it. The surprise birthday, the nagging the ring, the lies flowing through her veins instead of blood. All of it, a woman running out of time, trying to do one last thing right. Why didn't you tell me? I would have been nicer to you. I would have loved you as much as I wanted. The most painful kind of grief, the kind where you finally understand someone only after they are gone. No Sukmin gets the death sentence, no parole, no escape, no more moves on the board. He sits in his cell raving about destroying them and seeing his mother's face wherever he looks. He burned the world to become chairman and ended up in a room he can't leave. The egg cracked, the bird flew to nothing, and Doohy becomes chairwoman, not through Madame Jew's will. Not through inheritance, through the board, through the work, through being exactly who she always was. The woman they called the devil in Hemes walks into the first board meeting as chairwoman and immediately calls out every shortcut taken to manufacture better numbers. The process matters more than the result. That was Madame Jew's philosophy once, and now it is hers. Guwon is still there, making deals with scumbags, arguing about cake, forbidding her from eating sugar while running a dessert company. She plays hymns from every religion to annoy him during fights. He still grabs her wrist in public without asking. She still calls him hubby to watch him squirm. They are infuriating together. They are also, unmistakably, irreversibly, each other's. One evening, he watches her from across the room and says the thing that closes the whole story. Your time goes by too fast. That's what makes this moment even more precious. A demon who has lived 2 centuries choosing to be present in one ordinary evening because she is in it. Not eternity. Not power, not a deal. Just her, right now, this moment, which will not last forever, which is exactly why it matters. We may destroy each other at times, but we're also the ones who save each other. Therefore, we are both each other's destroyers and saviors. The word demon comes from the ancient Greek, daimai. To share the same fate. They shared it in Josian. They shared it in Soul. And somewhere in the space between destruction and salvation, between a bad ending and a good one, between a demon and the woman who refused to let him go, they built something that had no word for it yet. Not heaven, not hell, theirs. If this series moved you, if you stayed through every episode, every betrayal, every sacrifice, every impossible choice, then you already know what this channel is about. We don't just recap dramas, we tell the stories inside the story. The ones that stay with you long after the credits roll. If that's what you came for, subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell so you never miss a drop. And share this series with someone who deserves a great story. Thank you for watching every episode. Thank you for staying until the end. Bye guys.